Hey there, historians. This is a walkthrough of your lesson, Lewis and Clark in North Dakota. So your goal in this lesson is that you can trace the path that Lewis and Clark took through present-day North Dakota, and you can identify important members of the Corps of Discovery. This is a great video from the Smithsonian on the background information about the Lewis and Clark expedition, and this one specifically focuses on their time through North Dakota, who they met, where they visited, where they stayed, and those facts that you're going to need moving forward in this lesson. Now we have 3 pages of instruction this week. First, we just have our introduction, and you have an audio file here which will read you this information and some additional information that can be found if you click the link in the photo to go to the North Dakota Studies website. After the introduction, we jump into what happened in North Dakota with Lewis and Clark. That's our focus. And so we actually have 3 pages of information here that are all from the same section of the North Dakota Studies website that you can find in all of the photos. They'll all link you to there. And so this audio file will read you this information and additional information that you would find in your social studies, North Dakota Studies online textbook. And then it continues here, and there's additional information that adds on with what is happening with the people in the group. And then it continues on for a 3rd page with another audio file that gives you more information about what was happening with the Corps of Discovery as they moved through North Dakota. And again, every one of the pictures will link you to the North Dakota Studies online textbook, the North Dakota Studies website, so you can have all of the information if you want to just read it on your own. We have 2 activity pages in this lesson. The first one is you need to use the arrows at the right of this page, they're right over here, to mark the route of travel of Lewis and Clark through North Dakota. Use the X to mark the appropriate location of Fort Mandan. So remember, Fort Mandan is where they stayed over the winter. And so here you will be in your edit mode. You have these markers, these arrows on the side. You're going to just drag them in to show where in North Dakota they traveled. You might need to spin these arrows in order to get them to line up with the way that you want them to be. And then use this X to mark the approximate location of Fort Mandan, with this blue being the outside border of the state of North Dakota. This 1814 map is based on the sketches made by Lewis and Clark. It shows the Missouri River. The blue outline shows the modern day location of North Dakota. And then we get into our critical thinking questions. The Corps of Discovery brought only 1 dog along on the journey. What would have been advantages and disadvantages of having more dogs along on the trip? So here you can answer that. This is an additional video if you want to watch it and learn more about Seaman, the dog who came along on this expedition. And then use the labels at the right, so they're right over here, to label each of these members of the Corps of Discovery. So who are these figures? Again, if you are uncertain, you can check the North Dakota Studies textbook, the online textbook, the website, and you can find all of these images and then match up that information pretty quickly. On slide 9, we have just additional information if you really are enjoying this topic and you want to know more. Again, all of these are focused on Lewis and Clark's and the Corps of Discovery's expedition through North Dakota. So more about Sakakawea. This is a full-length episode exploring what was happening in North Dakota. This is a reenactment of a character who's playing Meriwether Lewis and explaining what life was like when Meriwether was at Fort Mandan. This talks about some of the plants that the Corps of Discovery would have noted, charted, drawn, sketched, and sent back to the president. And then down here, these 2 are links. One is to the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center, which is by Washburn, North Dakota. And the other one is to Fort Mandan, historic site. And so each of these would take you to a different website, but give you more information if you wanted to visit these in your own actual, real, personal field trip, and just to know more about them. Because our goal is that you can trace the path that Lewis and Clark took through present-day North Dakota, and you can identify the important members of the core of discovery. Joy, historians!